On a frigid night of March 16, 2011, in the seemingly peaceful town of Ansonia, Connecticut, a series of gunshots shattered the quiet. In an unremarkable parking lot, Isaiah Hernandez, age 25, lay dying, victim of what appeared to be a routine drug deal turned tragically violent. For years, this case would remain shrouded in mystery, with only whispers and rumors surrounding the circumstances of his death. But a breakthrough in the investigation would eventually lead authorities to key suspects who had managed to elude justice for over a decade. Isaiah Hernandez wasn't just another statistic. Born and raised in Ansonia's working-class neighborhoods, he embodied the story of countless young men trying to overcome their circumstances. His childhood was marked by financial hardship and the challenges of a broken home. Yet, despite these obstacles, Isaiah harbored dreams of creating a better life. As a young father, his son became his primary motivation, the driving force behind his efforts to break free from the cycle of poverty and street life that had claimed so many of his peers. But the streets have a way of pulling you back in. On that fateful March evening, Isaiah's past would collide violently with his aspirations for a better future. The Ansonia Express Mart parking lot, a place he knew well, would become the stage for his final moments. What was meant to be a straightforward transaction, a desperate attempt to secure quick money to support his family, turned into an ambush that would cost him everything. The events unfolded with brutal swiftness. Two men, later identified as Elijah Stanford, 19, and Luis Marquez, 18, had arranged to meet Isaiah under the pretense of purchasing illegal substances. However, their true intentions were far more sinister. As the three men stood beside Isaiah's car, the situation quickly escalated. Witnesses would later describe seeing Isaiah stumbling from his vehicle, desperately trying to escape as three shots rang out in quick succession. Each bullet found its mark in his back, and Isaiah collapsed onto the cold pavement, alone and bleeding, as his attackers fled into the night. The initial investigation faced numerous obstacles. While anonymous tips mentioned Stanford's name, detectives couldn't establish a solid connection without concrete evidence. Surveillance footage from the Express Mart confirmed Isaiah's presence with two other men, but their identities remained frustratingly unclear. The case seemed destined to join the ranks of unsolved crimes, another tragic story without an ending. But perseverance and advancing technology would eventually turn the tide. Nearly a decade later, a perfect storm of improved forensic techniques, federal agency cooperation, and renewed investigative efforts led to the case being reopened. Previously reluctant witnesses began coming forward, painting a clearer picture of that night's events. The investigation revealed that Stanford and Marquez had carefully planned the robbery, with Andrew Spino serving as their getaway driver. The breakthrough led to a cascade of arrests. By 2021, both Stanford and Marquez faced charges, including first-degree robbery and conspiracy. Spino, who had relocated to Hawaii and was serving time for unrelated charges, was extradited back to Connecticut in 2022 to face justice. On March 10, 2024, the case reached a crucial turning point when Luis Marquez accepted a plea deal, admitting to first-degree manslaughter with a firearm and conspiracy to commit first-degree robbery. His words in court carried the weight of belated remorse. "I asked the judge to show some mercy, but I know I deserve whatever is coming. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't." The sentence, 14 years in prison plus 5 years of probation, brought some measure of closure to Isaiah's family, though the pain of their loss remains eternal. His mother, Myra Rivera, captured their grief in a powerful statement to the court. "My son would call me every Wednesday. On that Wednesday, I didn't hear from him. Instead, I received a phone call from his girlfriend, trying to explain to me, while she was crying, that my son had lost his life. This was the day my heart was shattered." As Stanford and Spino await their day in court, Isaiah's aunt, Margaret Simpson, expressed the family's mixed emotions about the outcome. "No amount of time is going to be good enough for us. We lost a loved one, and it's not easy. It's hard. The case of Isaiah Hernandez serves as a stark reminder of how the consequences of street life can echo through generations and how justice, though delayed, can still bring some measure of peace to those left behind. The disappearance of Jennifer Kess remains one of Florida's most perplexing missing persons cases. On January 24, 2006, the 24-year-old finance manager vanished from her Orlando condominium without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that continues to baffle investigators and haunt her family. Jennifer was last seen on January 23, 2006, leaving her job at Central Florida Investments. A successful young professional, she had recently purchased her own condo at Mosaic at Millenia and was thriving in her career. The night before her disappearance, she spoke with her boyfriend, Rob Allen, who lived in Fort Lauderdale, having their usual evening phone conversation around 10 p.m. The first signs that something was wrong emerged the next morning when Jennifer failed to show up for work, completely out of character for the reliable young woman. Her car, a black Chevrolet Malibu, was also missing from her parking spot. When repeated calls to her cell phone went unanswered, her parents, Drew and Joyce Kess, immediately knew something was seriously wrong. The investigation revealed several disturbing details. Jennifer's condo showed no signs of forced entry, but her shower had been used and the bed appeared slept in. Her work clothes were laid out, suggesting she intended to go to work that morning. Her purse, keys, and phone were all missing. The case's most tantalizing and frustrating piece of evidence came from surveillance footage captured at the Huntington on the Green Apartments, about a mile from Jennifer's home. The footage showed an unidentified person parking Jennifer's car at 12 noon on January 24th and walking away. This person of interest, dubbed the Poi, was captured on camera but was obscured by the complex's security gate fencing. Despite extensive enhancement efforts, the individual's identity remains unknown, though they appeared to be between 5 feet 3 inches and 5 feet 5 inches tall. The investigation was complicated by several factors. At the time of Jennifer's disappearance, her condo complex was undergoing construction, with numerous workers having access to the property. Many of these workers were undocumented, making it difficult for investigators to track them down for questioning. Jennifer had previously expressed discomfort about some of the workers' behavior toward her. Over the years, the Kess family has never given up their search for answers. In 2018, they took the unprecedented step of buying all case files from the Orlando Police Department for $18,400, making it the first time in Florida's history that a family had purchased their child's entire case file. The family has since hired private investigators and continues to follow up on leads. The case has spawned numerous theories, but few concrete answers. The Poi's identity remains one of the investigation's most frustrating aspects. Despite being captured on video, the timing of the frames and the fence's positioning created what investigators call the perfect storm of concealment. The Kess family continues their tireless advocacy, maintaining a website and social media presence to keep Jennifer's case in the public eye. They've worked to change laws regarding missing persons cases and have been vocal about the need for better handling of such investigations. As of 2024, Jennifer Kess' disappearance remains unsolved, marking over 18 years since she vanished. The case stands as one of Florida's most well-known unsolved mysteries, characterized by tantalizing clues that have yet to yield definitive answers about what happened to the vibrant young woman who disappeared without a trace on that January morning. The Boy in the Box case, also known as America's Unknown Child, haunted Philadelphia for over 6 decades before a breakthrough finally revealed his identity in 2022. On February 25, 1957, the body of a small boy was discovered in a cardboard box in the Fox Chase neighborhood of Philadelphia, marking the beginning of one of America's longest-running cold cases. The child was found wrapped in a plaid blanket, placed inside a cardboard box that once held a bassinet from J.C. Penney. He was severely malnourished, appeared to be between 4 and 6 years old, and had multiple small scars on his body. His hands and feet were wrinkled, suggesting he had been in water shortly before his death. Most disturbingly, his hair appeared to have been crudely cut, with clumps possibly cut after death. For 65 years, the child's identity remained a mystery despite extensive investigation. The case captured public attention, with the boy's face appearing on hundreds of thousands of flyers posted throughout Philadelphia. Police pursued numerous leads and theories, including one involving a foster home and another concerning a traveling carnival, but none led to the child's identification. The breakthrough came in December 2022 when authorities finally identified the boy as Joseph Augustus Zarelli, born on January 13, 1953. Modern DNA technology and genetic genealogy techniques, combined with traditional detective work, helped solve this portion of the mystery. The identification involved building an extensive family tree using DNA databases and old birth certificates. Joseph came from a working-class Philadelphia family, and investigators discovered that his birth certificate had been filed, though his parents were deceased by the time of his identification. The circumstances of his death, however, remain unclear, and no one has been charged with his murder. The case's resolution brought mixed emotions. While it provided some closure by giving the boy back his name, it also raised new questions about how he ended up in that box and who was responsible for his death. The Philadelphia Police Department continues to investigate the circumstances surrounding Joseph's death, though many potential witnesses or perpetrators may no longer be alive. The boy in the box case became a watershed moment in American forensic history, demonstrating both the persistence of investigators and the advancement of forensic science. The case file, which grew to include thousands of pages over 6 decades, represents one of the most extensive investigations in Philadelphia police history. Throughout the years, the case touched many lives. The staff at the medical examiner's office paid for the boy's original burial plot, and police officers collected money to buy him a larger headstone. In 1998, his body was exhumed for DNA testing, and he was reburied at Ivy Hill Cemetery with a new headstone reading, "America's Unknown Child." After his identification, a new headstone was placed at his grave, finally bearing his real name, Joseph Augustus Zarelli. The case continues to resonate with investigators and the public, serving as a reminder of both the evolution of forensic science and the importance of never giving up on seeking justice for victims, no matter how much time has passed. The murder of Faith Hedgepeth, a 19-year-old University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill student, remained unsolved for nearly a decade before a breakthrough in DNA evidence led to an arrest in 2021. The case is particularly notable for its complex investigation and the innovative forensic techniques that ultimately helped solve it. On September 7, 2012, Faith, a member of the Hollywossaponi Native American tribe and a promising biology student, spent an evening out with her roommate, Karina Rosario, at a local Chapel Hill nightclub called The Thrill. Security cameras captured them leaving the club around 2:38 a.m. on September 8th. They returned to their apartment at Hawthorne at the View complex shortly after. Karina left the apartment around 4:27 a.m., and Faith was last known to be alive at this time. When Karina returned with a friend at approximately 11 a.m. that same day, they found Faith's brutally beaten body partially undressed on her bed. The cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma to the head. The crime scene yielded several crucial pieces of evidence. Investigators found a handwritten note on a fast food bag that read, "I'm not stupid bitch. Jealous," which appeared to be written in an attempt to mislead investigators. DNA evidence was collected from various items in the room, including from Faith's body and a bottle found at the scene. The investigation was extensive from the start. Police conducted hundreds of interviews and collected DNA samples from numerous persons of interest. They also had a voicemail from Faith's phone, recorded at 1:23 a.m. on September 8th, which contained background noise and male voices, but was too muffled to be clearly understood. Despite these leads and a substantial reward offered for information, the case remained cold for years. However, investigators never gave up, and advances in DNA technology would eventually prove crucial. In 2016, police released information about DNA evidence found at the scene, along with a facial composite of the suspect based on DNA phenotyping, a then-novel technique that predicts physical appearance from DNA. The breakthrough came in September 2021, when police arrested Miguel Enrique Salguero Olivares, then 28 years old. His DNA matched evidence found at the crime scene. Investigators revealed that Salguero Olivares had not been on their radar during the initial investigation, and he had no known connection to Faith. The arrest was made possible through a combination of traditional police work and advanced DNA analysis techniques. Authorities used genetic genealogy and worked with a private lab to process the DNA evidence, similar to methods used in other high-profile cold cases like the Golden State Killer. As of 2024, the case is progressing through the legal system. Salguero Olivares faces first-degree murder charges, and prosecutors have indicated they will not seek the death penalty. The motive for the killing remains unclear, though investigators believe it was not a random act. Faith's case highlighted several important aspects of modern criminal investigation: the value of preserving DNA evidence, the advancement of forensic technology, and the importance of persistent investigation. It also brought attention to violence against Native American women, an ongoing crisis that often receives insufficient attention. The case continues to impact the UNC Chapel Hill community and beyond. Faith's family established a scholarship in her memory at UNC Chapel Hill, specifically for Native American women pursuing higher education. Her story has been featured in numerous true crime documentaries and has helped raise awareness about campus safety and violence against women. The Lisa Ziegert murder case remained unsolved for 25 years until DNA evidence and genealogical research finally brought her killer to justice. The case, which haunted the small town of Agawam, Massachusetts, demonstrated how advancing technology could crack even decades-old cold cases. On April 15, 1992, 24-year-old Lisa Ziegert, a teacher's assistant at Agawam Middle School who also worked part-time at a card shop, disappeared during her evening shift at Brittany's card and gift shop. When the store's owner arrived the next morning, she found the shop unlocked, lights on, and Lisa's car still in the parking lot. Her personal belongings, including her jacket and car keys, were still inside the store, but Lisa was nowhere to be found. 4 days later, on April 19, 1992, Lisa's body was discovered in a wooded area off Suffield Street in Agawam. She had been raped and stabbed to death. The brutal nature of the crime shocked the community, and the case quickly became one of the region's most notorious unsolved murders. The initial investigation was extensive. Police collected physical evidence from both the card shop and the location where Lisa's body was found. They interviewed hundreds of people and followed numerous leads, but the case went cold. The evidence included DNA from the perpetrator, but in 1992, DNA technology was still in its infancy, and no matches were found in available databases. For years, Lisa's family, particularly her mother, Diane Ziegert, kept the case alive through media appearances and public appeals for information. The case was featured on various true crime shows and remained one of the Massachusetts State Police's priority cold cases. The breakthrough began in 2016 when investigators utilized a new DNA technology called phenotyping, which creates a prediction of a suspect's physical appearance based on DNA evidence. This allowed them to generate composite images of what the killer might look like both in 1992 and present day. The images were released to the public in September 2016. Then, in September 2017, authorities announced they had identified Lisa's killer through DNA evidence: Gary E. Scara, who was 48 at the time of his arrest. The break in the case came when Scara's acquaintance provided police with handwritten documents in which Scara allegedly admitted to the murder. When investigators went to question Scara, he attempted suicide but survived. The DNA evidence linking Scara to the crime was overwhelming. His genetic profile matched the DNA collected from the crime scene in 1992. What made the case particularly striking was that Scara had been living in the area the entire time, just across the state line in West Springfield, Massachusetts. In September 2019, Scara pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, kidnapping, and aggravated rape. He was sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. During the sentencing hearing, he apologized to Lisa's family, though he offered no explanation for his actions. The resolution of Lisa's case highlighted several important aspects of modern criminal investigation. The importance of preserving DNA evidence, even before the technology exists to fully utilize it. The value of continuing to revisit cold cases as technology advances. The role of public awareness in keeping cases active. The impact of new DNA techniques in solving historical crimes. The case also led to changes in how cold cases are handled in Massachusetts, with increased funding for DNA testing and cold case investigations. Lisa's memory lives on through her family's advocacy for victims' rights and their support for other families of murder victims. Today, the case serves as both a testament to investigative persistence and a reminder of how advances in forensic science can bring closure to decades-old cases. Lisa's story continues to be used in training for law enforcement officials as an example of how combining traditional police work with modern technology can solve seemingly unsolvable cases. These 5 cases, Isaiah Hernandez, Jennifer Kess, The Boy in the Box, Joseph Augustus Sorelli, Faith Hedgepeth, and Lisa Ziegert, represent different eras and aspects of cold case investigations. Each case demonstrates how advances in forensic science, particularly DNA technology and genetic genealogy, combined with persistent detective work, can bring resolution to seemingly unsolvable crimes. While some of these cases have found resolution, others, like Jennifer Kess's disappearance, remain unsolved, reminding us that the work of seeking justice continues. These cases continue to influence how law enforcement approaches cold case investigations and serve as powerful examples of why we should never give up on seeking the truth, no matter how much time has passed. If you found this video informative, consider giving it a like and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us raise awareness about wrongful convictions and the need for justice in our legal system. Sharing this video with your friends and family can also help spread the word about these important issues. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to your comment.